And one thing, when we first came to the Hopi Indian Reservation, I'm not a reservation, when we first came upon the Hopi Indians, there was no crime because they were in balance. They have a belief, they have a way of life that's been contaminated now by prevailing belief systems and systems that have been set up since their contact with the white mind. But when we came there was no crime. Crime is not a given. We accept it as a given. It has been created by our beliefs and by the systems we've put in place that arise out of our beliefs. Case in point, the concept of possessions.
Well, let's bring it to, again, modern times. I was born in Gunnison, and I recently had an opportunity to talk to a family friend of ours who's a teacher in that community. And I said, you know, we're going to do this event, Connie and I are working on this. Did you ever have those things happen in Gunnison in the 20s or 30s? And he said, oh yeah. We had some boys that were way out of control, and eventually the judge said, we're going to put these boys on probation, and he gave them 3 male monitors or mentors in the communities, my family friend being one of them. And he said, it took us some time, but all those boys have grown up to be members of the community.
Yeah.
And didn't spend a whole bunch of time being lost to the community. But we engaged, and we did that. So I think there's a big tradition of this behavior, acting out behavior, that we don't see, that we all accept. And yet when it gets out of control, of a way to do it that's more in touch with the community, more engaged with the community. I don't know who steps up in this community to respond to that. I think a lot of people are trying. What's your view? What do you see?
Well, frankly, my piece, I reiterate, my piece isn't after a crime has been committed, after a problem, because my piece is getting at why we have a problem in the first place, why we have a situation in the first place. And I feel that until we go to that very fundamental place of shifting our understanding of the nature of the universe, that everything else is a Band-Aid on a hemorrhage, that we cannot stop the hemorrhage with a Band-Aid. So, you know, that's just the piece that I'm bringing in. And I was saying, you know, the concept of possessions. Okay, the concept of possessions creates theft. If you don't have a concept of possessions, like in the native way, you're using something. It's your turn to use it. And ultimately, there's somebody else that has a turn with that thing. Like if I have somebody likes my necklace, and they know in their heart that it's their turn for this necklace, they indicate that to me. They say, tell me, I like your necklace. And I go, oh, I understand. It's your turn now. And I take it off, and I give it to you. You see?
Very out of the box.
That's out of the box, except it's traditional native thought. It's how native people have lived for eons. And this is, you know, in an instant like that, you don't have to come into my house and steal this. Because it's not mine.
And as much
Nothing
as that
is mine.
sounds
And the
out-
whole concept of land title. We have a whole culture built on land title, right?
Private property.
Private property.
Private property rights.
Well, yeah. Well, we don't own anything.
you know, yet
You see?
Yet
And
we also have a tradition of sharing. People share.
Right.
And we do that even in these modern times. We help out friends, we lend people cars, we share our stuff, phones, people come and stay. So we know something about that even though we think we don't.
Right.
And we measure again by this other yardstick and we behave by this different yardstick. And we need to bring those two places in balance. And I know we're coming close to where we're going to unfortunately not be able to continue on our dialogue as we always like to do. And knowing that, I want to acknowledge that you often walk the edge of changing this paradigm, and that you raised your children in a different way and had the conviction and the power or personal connection. I mean, you took a risk and took your son out of school, for example, and raised your son differently out of the paradigm. Maybe you don't want to talk about that, but I think it's a big, big example that you did that.
Number one, I didn't take my son out of school. My son dropped out of school out of first grade. I honored him because I had an understanding about the nature of the universe, that he was in fact a gift, and that the universe would bring him everything he needs to become that gift, that he didn't have to sit in that first grade classroom feeling stupid because he didn't read like the little girls next to him, and being told that he had to show up and do what the teacher said so that he could survive ultimately as an adult. I had an understanding, so when he came to me and said, "Mom, my feelings tell me I don't belong here," I could honor that. And the concept of risk, see, isn't in my vocabulary. It doesn't exist. I walk in total trust of a loving universe. I know that this universe...
You were able to receive that information in trust and hear
and
that.
act in total trust. And he left school, and he was not homeschooled. We turned him over to the universal energies, that life was going to teach him, that the energies were going to bring him everything he needed to become his genius. And someone could say that's risk, but see, if you have the word risk in your vocabulary, you can't go there.
Okay.
Because I'm talking total trust. And what has happened for my son has been magnificent. It's out of the paradigm of, well, basically, you get what you pay for paradigm. He's manifested a tutor, a companion that we couldn't, you can't describe in the you get what you pay for paradigm.
And what do you mean by get what you pay for?
Well, because I'm trying to delineate the difference between you get what you pay, time is money paradigm that we live in, that we're prisoners of, basically, that we think is the only game in town. There's another paradigm, another way of being, and that's the place where you get what money can't buy. What you can't, you can't even understand it. In this paradigm, you can't even comprehend what comes to you when you leave that paradigm and walk into the giving and receiving paradigm, that you're the sharing paradigm. And there's a whole nother world out there just outside of our belief.
So, you think, and I agree with you, that the heart of the matter is a palpable, concrete activity. It's real.
It's real.
And it may not fit up on a spreadsheet or in an accountant's set of books, but yet it's there. And it's as palpable as those numbers, and it's as palpable as any kind of codification or laws that restrict the balance of our heart.
Absolutely.
And if we get in touch with that, as we are getting in touch with that, we will be freed to be the people that the Constitution encouraged us to be.
Absolutely.
And my belief is that we lead the world in that expression.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And actually the laws actually expand themselves when you walk out there into this trust, place of trust. The laws actually shift. And actually these numbers that you're talking about, I believe that we have a bottom line based economic system. And I believe that that's strangling the abundant universe, that this whole counting thing, that dropping out to the bottom line, that if we shift to the top line,
abundance takes place.
Yeah, that the bottom line will be places we couldn't even fathom. That if we go to the top line and we put in trust, love, integrity, inspiration, generosity, we put those in, truly do that, truly walk in trust of each other and the abundance and the loving nature of the universe, that the bottom line will go places we can't even fathom.